So what's up guys? Today I'm going to be doing a video on the Bhopal disaster or the Bhopal gas tragedy. So let's get started. Bhopal disaster, December 2nd, 1984. How did this happen and why? Well, if we want to know how this happened and why, we have to go to the start. In 1970, four companies merged to become Union Carbide Company and National Carbon Company, which are now known as Eveready. This company is a chemical company and they sell batteries, flashlights, bulbs, and electrics accessories, etc. In 1969, Union Carbide India Limited (UCIL) started a manufacturing plant in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, India, to produce a special insecticide called 7. And if you don't know what an insecticide is, it's those sprays to kill bugs or flies or mosquitoes. Methyl isocyanate or MIC chemical was used to produce 7, which is such a dangerous and deadly chemical that can kill you like slow poison, but not too slow. There's also no specific way to treat you if you like breathe the poison. So let's just say you may not survive. Anyway, let's get back. MIC is imported into India from outside to manufacture 7. UCIL was a very successful company at that time. The loss. In 1980, things started to change for Union Carbide. They started suffering a great loss. The company started losing money and not getting it back because of shortage of funds. The company decided that they would start manufacturing MIC in India then rather than importing it, as it cost a lot. This was the first red flag because manufacturing chemicals, mixing them is so dangerous and deadly that it can wipe out a whole entire state if it's a large quantity. They were then permitted by the Indian government to do so. Then they started manufacturing in the Bhopal plant. Not doing it properly. The company was then directed to create a proper emergency evacuation plan so the residents of Bhopal will know how to react if there's any MIC leak and etc. But the company failed to even create such a plan. They never even bothered. Then, in 1981, a worker died from being exposed to MIC. Despite this event, the company did do nothing, and the plant went on manufacturing like this day by day. At that time, during this time, another thing happened. The insecticides the company was producing to make 7 sales started falling in India as competitors of the company cropped up, which had cheaper products. That then that then put pressure on Union Carbide. Then Union Carbide had to cut costs down on 7 and had to reduce the prices. To do so, they had to cut costs in many places, and the whole reason was just to save money. The workforce was then reduced. Then new workers that were hired by the company were often underqualified as they were the residents of Bhopal. Then they started ignoring safety measures just to save them money. For example, if there was a broken pipe, or if there was a broken pipe, when they should have changed it, they would rather just fix it up with unsafe methods. And this started, and regular leaks started to happen. As you can see, here are some pictures. People getting fired just to save money, guy running for money, etc. You can pause the video and see it if you want. Shivering. Then the workers started to get worried that something bad might happen. Even though such a dangerous chemical was being manufactured at the factory, neither were the residents of Bhopal informed or nor the workers working in the factory. You may be wondering, had anyone noticed? Well, many people noticed. First, the trade unions started protesting, but union leaders were then removed from their jobs and their demands were never ever considered. But there was one man who investigated this thoroughly as he had his personal stake in it. As, as told in the fifth slide, the worker that died for exposure of MIC, his name was Muhammad Ashraf. Before his death, he told one of his friends that he was concerned about the plant, that the plant won't work properly anymore. Then that guy told his friend Raj Kumar Keswani. Raj Kumar Keswani was a journalist. He then began his investigation, tried to get insider information, accessing confidential reports, and he wrote a full report on the plant, on the horrible safety measures of the plant. Then the headlines of this report was Save, please, save the city. In the report, he mentioned that a disaster can take place, which had happened suddenly. About 20% of Bhopal's population was near UCIL, and it was very dangerous for them. How did he know? How did journalist Raj Kumar know all about this? As he has no scientific knowledge about the chemicals, but somewhere he read photogen was used in the plant. He then recalled it was the same chemical Germany has used in the gas chambers. Then he realized the danger and the severity of this plant. The name of his report claimed that if anyone refused to understand it, it will be the end. He also wrote to the Supreme Court and the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, as Bhopal is Madhya Pradesh's capital. But he never got a reply, as everyone thought he was just crazy about all his research and everything. Underground tanks. MIC is stored in three large tanks underground, which stores a liquid form of MIC. The tanks' names were E610, E611, and E619. E610 and E611 tanks had MIC in them, but E619 tank had no MIC in it as it was an emergency tank. Also, just for safety purposes, E610 and E611 tanks could only have 60% of MIC. Also, did you know MIC plus water, called H2O, has a very dangerous reaction, which is called metallamine. Even if it gets contacted with air, since air has moisture, it still creates metallamine. So to make sure air or water does not get inside the tank, nitrogen pressure is pumped into the tanks. The tanks would also regularly check. As you can see, this is H2O, hydrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, plus MiC, as you can see, which equals to metallamine. Problems. There's also one pipe just to remove the toxic gases from the tanks and burn it. Another tank was used to pump nitrogen into the tank. Now they had to clean the pipes regularly. Also, whenever taking out MIC from the tank, they had to take it out carefully, as it was very dangerous. It sounds like a very straightforward plan, nothing not to understand. They could and it should have been done very good and not hard to do. Also, so there are three tanks, one for emergency, rest for MIC, and they are not supposed to be filled more than 60%. But E610 and E611 were filled roughly up to 8 8% of MIC. Also, the third tank was filled with MIC to and just all this to for money. Then the pressure of the nitrogen on the first and second tank was not correct. Then the indicator which shows how much MIC wasn't working for all the tanks. As you can see, this is the pipe that goes up to the pressure nitrogen and pump. This is the pipe that goes up and pump pressure nitrogen, and this pipe takes out poisonous gases. They also had an alarm that would go off when the temperature was extremely high, but it was turned off years ago, so the alarm won't alert anyone. Also, the pipe that removes toxic gases and burns them, which is called a vent scrubber, was switched off and only on when the workers switch it on. For every time, there was a pressure valve, which just controls the flow of the MIC. But E610 tank valve was not working and no one bothered to fix it. Despite all this, Union Carbide stopped production in October 1984. Almost all the operations were off. About the remaining MIC left in the tank was only supposed to use when needed. There were also two big alarms, one for the alarm for the workers, and the other alarm was louder that so the residents of Bhopal can hear it. But the louder alarm was switched off. Now it comes to the night. On December 2nd, 1984, it was just a normal cold night for the residents of Bhopal. At 9 o'clock at night, the workers of UCL had a shift change and new workers started their jobs. They then washed the pipes attached to this MIC tank that fills water to the tanks. They then noticed that the water was not coming out from the other side, so they started cleaning the filters and repeated. Despite despite what they did, the water from the other side did not come out. They weren't surprised to see this, but they informed their supervisor. At 11 p.m., the supervisor told them to let the water flow, and the next shift people would switch it off. Normally, the pipes would have something called a slip bind. When the when turned, stopped the water from entering the tank, but there was no slip bind for the pipes. Up at about 10 p.m., the water went into the tank E610, which had MIC in it. As you know, if MIC and water mix it had a deadly reaction. This reaction started happening, and then cloud of gas started forming. But the workers of the at the factory did not have that much scientific knowledge about this. About an hour later, the new shift people arrived. They then realized that their eyes started burning. Really, like if you put on onions at your eyes, you start burning a lot. Same for them, but more unsafe. They then checked the they then checked the pressure of the tanks. The pressure was a bit over normal, but they thought it was safe. But their eyes were still burning. They then thought that a leak was happening in the plant. Around 11:45 p.m., they started looking. Then one of those workers called Mr. Suman Day saw a leak at a place that was leaking slowly, but the workers ignored the leak and took their tea break at 12:40. Also, if you remember, then The workers started to realize that a major leak had happened, and the E610 tank pressure was extremely high. Also, if you remember, the tanks were underground, so the concrete above started breaking, crackling. Someone then rushed to the control room, sounded the alarm that the gas from E610 tank was leaking, but it was too late. Then only they stopped the water that was pumped into the tank. Unfortunately, it was too late. It was chaos. Then the gas cloud passed into the vent scrubber and exploded from the top like a volcano. The workers then tried spraying the top with water, but it was too late. At this point, it was 1 a.m. They all realized the situation was out of control. The workers then started evacuating the factory. The gas spread into most of the parts of the city. If the doors or windows were open, the people's houses were open, a white cloud would form inside. Also, some people then thought they should jump in the first man-made lake in Bhopal. It was chaotic. Some people would go to the nearby hospital, but the doctors weren't aware of the chemical and they just pumped air into the patients. But more the oxygen was the patient. In and due to this, many patients died in the hospital. In this whole accident, 3,800 people died that night, and at least 8,000 died in the first week. Also, at least half a million survived, but most of them suffered respiratory problems, eye irritation, or blindness, and other maladies. Then the government and the Union Carbide team the next day. Union Carbide sent their technical team to convert the remaining MIC into a less dangerous gas. This operation was called Operation Fate. Then Union Carbide gave a lot of money to, to the government. Warren Andrus was arrested as he was the chairman of UCIL. He then died on September 14, 2020, 2019. To this day, the chemicals are still remaining in Bhopal. As you can see, I have put some pictures. As you can see, people are burning up the statue. This is probably Warren Andrus as they're angry about what they did. And thank you guys for watching my video. Hope you like it. Hope you got an idea of Bhopal. And if you guys are doing like a research project for your school, I will be able to give you this PPT. No, PPT or Google. I'll be able to convert this to a PPT or give it to you in a Google slide form. So you can take it to your teacher and do it. And this doesn't cost any money. And hope you like this video and please subscribe. Bye!